base, men have kind of a natural compass. Okay? If I start walking in one direction, I kind of know that that's north. Okay? I walk in the other direction, kind of know that's south. I walk in another direction. Okay? If he starts to get in touch with that part of his brain, he can kind of tell distances very easily, and he tends to measure those things in concrete spaces. So he'll say 3 blocks that way, and 6 blocks east, and then 4 blocks north, and then he'll look at the actual names of the streets, right? In general. So very concrete, because his brain is actually built that way to do that. Where girls will tend to pick up particular things of color when you start to talk about directions. Either color, smell, taste, feel, all those things start to register differently when you give directions to women. So I would say, okay, turn left at the greenhouse, go up to the house with beige shutters, and then turn right and go down to the yellow house and turn left again. Okay, and that would be a better way to explain how to get someplace to women. Not because she can't figure out distance, not because she can't, do all the things the man does, but she does the other one better. Just like men could figure out where the beige shuttered house is and everything, he can figure that out, but he doesn't naturally, his senses don't naturally pick that up. Okay? So it means a strength. It's an extra strength. One has one strength, another has another strength. The important thing to understand about that is these two strengths are complementary. They're complementary. Men and women complement each other. The word means complete each other. Okay? Men and women complete each other. Okay? That's probably why it says in Scripture that at the beginning it was not good for man to be alone. He'll pick all the wrong colors of the house. You ever have your husband decide what colors to go in the house? No, you got to pick the colors. Okay. Okay, so for the little girl, she should go ahead, especially faster in what is verbal. Boys should go ahead in general faster for the way that at least they do spatial things. They'll more naturally do better in math early. Now, that is not to say that girls can't do good in math, which is kind of, urban legend out there. Not true. It's a matter of explaining how to teach learning to girls and to boys. Because girls' eyes, because of the way they're organized to see the center of a vision field, they pick up what a thing is faster. So their eyes answer the question, what is a thing? Boys' eyes answer, where is a thing? Okay, where is it? Where was it and where is it? Girls, what is it? So if you want to teach math to a girl, you need to be very concrete about the things. Okay, I got 5 things. Who knows? I got 5 cars, and then I got 6 drivers. How many extra drivers do we have? That's a better way of saying it to girls than it is to boys. Where boys, because of the way they figure spatially, they will more easily take pure math, what we call pure math. They would more naturally get that pure concept, where you need to be more concrete with girls. Okay? In the way you explain that. Various other differences. Structurally, the way they organize things. In general, women are literally better at multitasking. Okay? They're what I would call more horizontal in the way they look at things. So I have all these chairs up here, and each of those chairs would be a task. And a woman is more capable of having all those things in her mind at the same time, each one. Where the men would more naturally do one thing at a time. This is why husbands are always late for dinner. Okay? Because they'll want to do the one thing until it's done, and then move on to the next thing. They're what I would call vertical, this way. They're aware of the other ones. It's not that they're not aware of them, at least we think. Okay? But they'll do one thing at a time. So they'll want to get it done and then move on to the next thing. Get it done and move on to the next thing. Okay? So that's in general the best way to organize boys. Okay? Another thing, smell. Girls' olfactory senses are about 80% stronger than men's. So, for example, there's something smelly in the room. You women will pick it up much faster. 80% stronger. It's extraordinary in as far as smell goes. It's probably the most unbalanced of the senses between men and women. Women really do pick up smells much faster. Okay, so in a house, say the man puts his shoes in a certain place and they're smelly, and his wife says, "Would you get those shoes? How do they smell?" And the man says, "They don't smell. She's exaggerating." Well, she's not exaggerating. She does smell it. You have a bunch of girls in the classroom, and some boy, say, excuse me, farts. It's freaking out all the girls. The boys like the fact that it was a sound, it was low. You know? Hey, that was cool. You know, they don't, they smell it for a little bit, but oh well. Girls continue to smell all through the class, and they're distracted by it the whole class, and okay? So smell makes a big difference. It makes a difference in a house, and it makes a difference in a classroom. Okay? So those different things make for big differences. And as I said, okay, here's where it really rubber meets the road. You have a first grade class, second grade class. You have an art class. You tell the little boys and little girls, make a picture. Okay, so what do the girls do? They'll sit down and they'll put, who knows, a little house and a flower and whatever in the middle of the vision field facing you. The girls will tend to make a picture facing you. Okay? Because it's face to face for them. Everything is best face to face. Okay? Because that's the way they're organized. Boys, and it'll be reds and oranges, greens and beiges and pinks and nice colors. The boys, because of the way their rods and cones are organized, will tend to have they'll pick up a black pen, and they'll do a scribble that will be a verb. See, boys' eyes pick up verbs, something moving. Okay, so they'll put a spaceship crashing into the earth. Okay? At the moment it hits. And you see the explosion and everything, and it's all black and white. Okay, so the boy's very proud of his picture. The little girl's very proud of his picture. The woman teacher, because most of the time in first grade it's women teachers, walks over, takes a look at little Joey's picture and says, "Oh, that's very nice. What is it?" "Oh, it's a spaceship crashing into the earth." "Oh, it's very nice." And he goes over to the little girls within hearing distance. Within hearing distance. Even the boy doesn't hear very well. But he knows when he's been slighted. Believe me. He knows when he's been slighted. The little girl has a nice picture, and it's a house, and it's all these greens and yellows and oranges, and it's beautiful. And the woman teacher goes, "Oh, what a beautiful picture." And she goes on and on and on. And the boy's sitting there listening to this, and he says, "I'm a bad artist." And the reaction can be, "I'm never going to be an artist again." Because they can be very proud. and say, I'm just not going to be an artist anymore. So, end of picture making for me. Okay, why? Because his fingers can't really even hold the pen well. His eyes don't pick up the colors. He likes verbs. His picture for him was great. Super, fantastic. For you, who have the girls structure, can't see it because of your perspective. Okay? Let's go to the other end of that. There's a girl in high school. She's very good in math, very good in chemistry, very good in English. She's very good in all her subjects. There's a male physics teacher. She signs up for physics, goes into the class. He assigns physics in the first day of class, comes back. She goes home that evening. She always does all her homework. She has 7 questions. She's got questions in various, she's got homework in like 6 subjects. So she goes and she does the subject. She gets to physics. She figures out the first 5, they're very easy, has two questions left. She doesn't figure them out right away, so she says, this is a waste of time. I'm going to go on and get all my other homework done before I go to class. I'll go and talk to the teacher about this, and I'll figure out how to do it, and then I'll move on. Okay, a couple things about girls. Girls tend to be very open to the teacher. Actually, it's a good social sign for them to be approved by teachers, especially if the teacher is a girl teacher and it's kind of cool. That also repercusses on her friends because they'll say, oh, the teacher approves of her. That's kind of neat. Okay, because the social is much more important for the girls. Much more. For the boys can care less what the teacher has to say, to tell you the truth. Don't care, right? I just want to get it done. But the boys, they won't quit the physics thing until it's done. And only in the very last possibility will they ever go to a teacher to ask a question. Because they just don't want to ask the authority something. So they'll work on it for hours and get it done, or they just can't get it done. Okay? So the boy goes to class. He's either figured it out or he hasn't figured it out, and he hasn't asked the teacher. The girl is very willing to ask the teacher. She goes to the teacher, says, well, I didn't know how to do these things. The man teacher assumes that she's like him and would, only as a last resort, go to the teacher, and therefore he assumes she must have worked all night on this, couldn't do it, instead of just barely looked at the thing, not really tried, wanted to go and ask for some help. The teacher's made all the wrong assumptions about this girl. She's perfectly capable of doing this science. But because the male teacher has the assumption that she works on problems like he does, he misjudges her. So this can go both ways. Okay, these misunderstandings because of my point of departure. Okay? That becomes very important. Why? Okay, now we get into something different. I want to talk about the human person here. Now this is going to be more philosophy. Notice I picked black. I saw the purple, no, purple, no. Okay. Even though I'm an engineer, I really don't like computers. I like the old-fashioned touch-it board. Okay, so here's an old philosophical question. The human person is made up how? Okay? Body and soul. Okay? Body and soul. So the human person is body and soul. But in modern language today, because of our knowledge of science, we start today to understand the soul as the brain. Okay? The soul is not the brain. The brain would be here, in the middle. Okay. So, the structure that I'm going to propose to you here is body, mind, soul. Okay? Body, mind, soul. So this is an M. The mind. So the mind is where, okay, by the brain, I mean, various parts of the brain do various things. Emotions are in parts of the brain, and deep in the brain, for example. For women, actually, for women and men, they construct their emotions differently. When children are little, all the emotions are down in the amygdala region of the brain, down on the base. But for women, as they develop, their emotions, they go forward to the frontal region of the brain, where mathematics and logic goes on. So in general, women will bring emotion and logic together. They don't see them as that separate. Men's brains always keep emotion down in the primitive level of the brain. So if you ask a man the question of, how do you feel about this? That's an illogical question. Because in his logic part of his brain, he doesn't often think about emotions. Like if I say, also where emotions are is where heartbeat is. So if I say, what do you think about your heartbeat? Well, I haven't thought about my heartbeat lately. How about your breathing? I haven't thought about that either. Okay, you think about your heartbeat and breathing down in that base level of the brain. So when I say to a man, how do you feel about that? That's a dumb question. Women, because their emotions move to the front of the brain where their logic is, know why they feel in a certain way. They can tell you. A 16-year-old girl will tell you why she feels a certain way. Okay? Okay, so the brain or the mind functions differently because of the different perspectives. So education, which comes through the body to the brain and is looked at by the soul, is differently seen by the soul. Because the brain, through which it's touching the body, is organized in a different way. That makes sense? Okay? Okay. So, an example. How the body and the brain and the soul work. And I'll give guys examples because that's my experience. Okay? Say I'm playing basketball. Playing basketball and somebody comes flying through the middle and hits me with an elbow in the face. That elbow in the face hurts. It sends a message from the body, the face, to the brain. The brain, which has instinctual patterns set in it, will react in certain ways. Okay? For boys, when they get into fear, the reaction is destroy it. Okay? The fight and flight syndrome that you've probably all heard about. The boy's natural thing will be destroy what's dangerous in general. Okay? Okay, so for example, I'll give you another example to kind of illustrate that. When boys go outside and they make something in the woods, what do they make? A fort. What do girls make? A house. Okay? The boys will make a fort, the girls will make a house. The house is someplace you stay, so the girls will have their tea party all morning long at the house. The boys will never stay in the fort. The first thing they'll do is leave the fort and go find the other guy's fort to destroy it. But they won't hang around their fort. Okay? So they will. They'll go out and search it out. So the natural reaction of a boy of something dangerous is destroy it. So I get an elbow in the face. My natural reaction is destroy him. So the way the brain is organized sends a message to the heart, by adrenaline. Okay? Adrenaline says heartbeat, go faster. It says to the lungs, breathe harder, breathe faster. It says the adrenaline also sends messages to all the muscles to tense up, close. That means to close. That is, close your fist, hold it back, and then hit. Okay? That's the instantaneous reaction when I get hit in the face. All you guys, you know that feeling? Huh? Okay? The soul comes into play here because the soul has two functions. One is the intellect, and the other is the will. Okay? By intellect, in philosophy, we don't mean the capacity to do math or to memorize things or stuff like that. By the intellect in philosophy, we mean to see whether something is good or evil. That's what the soul does. It can recognize good and evil. Okay? So it watches the brain and the body and what's going on. It sees that the boy is ready to hit the guy, and the intellect says, this is not good, it's bad. Okay? Good and bad.